San Antonio! You guys have been waiting patiently all weekend, all year long for these two, and we're so glad they're finally here. They need no introduction because they are absolute legends in the Star Wars franchise. Can't believe I'm saying all this, but from a galaxy far, far away, they're here in my hometown on this stage. Give it up for the chosen one and his Padawan, Hayden Christensen Rosario!
So nice. I really appreciate that. It's great for us to get to be here and to meet all of you. And San Antonio is a great city. I love it here.
We love our big little town. Thank you guys so much for being here. In case you couldn't hear it, this little kid over here said, "Hey, now you have the high ground." That he does. That he does. You nerd, you. You're making your parents proud. Welcome, you two. My goodness, do you guys ever get tired of that? Seriously.
That never gets old. I mean, that's what it's all about. You know, it's a thrill to get to be a part of Star Wars and to get to play these great characters, but to come here and get this type of reception is really special. So thank you.
From a little theater school up in New York City to this stage here, you guys have been, progressing through your careers, and you somehow found this moment back together. Like, what does it mean to kind of reconnect on like this type of moment, on this type of level?
It's surreal. I just have to say though, like, I'm so glad you spoke first because it was just like the sweet Canadian thing. Because I'm just like, yo, it's dope. Like the New Yorker and he's like, yo, that's so fly. But it's amazing, to be here with all of you, but to be here with you, and from where we started. It's wild to think, like, I remember when you got Star Wars that it was just like, that's just like something you can't even aspire to. So it's crazy and wild to be able to be in that space, not fighting with you.
Although we did enjoy the fighting, right? We'll talk about that.
We did too.
Yeah. What was that? You lack conviction, they all say.
That was a good one. I like that one too.
Yeah. Hang on now. I was so surprised to hear that even before like the first episode of The Mandalorian even started filming, like Filoni already had you pegged for Ahsoka. Like he already knew, and that's what I love about Filoni, is like he had this whole trajectory planned out, and he knew Ahsoka was coming into the fold, and like you were already at the top of the list. Maybe you're the only list. Like how does it feel to kind of already be kind of set up for all that stuff?
It's wild. I mean, he had wanted to make her live action for a really long time, and then they started working on Mandalorian, and he knew he wanted to potentially bring her in, what her age and where she'd be at in the storyline. But they wanted to do that first season first, and he was kind of just getting into that space of doing live action, which he had never done before. And Boss Logic had put that piece out, and so it kind of been stirring for a couple years in the online space, and the fans kind of kicking in and kicking it about. So as they were working on it, it was sort of just like in the back of his mind. So when he actually first called me with John, there had been all of these drawings he had already made of me as Ahsoka that were just like on the walls and all around, as he was like, hey, so we're just wondering if you'd be interested. And it was like, let me think about that. Like, oh wait, I have been thinking about it for years, actually. That's so funny. Yeah, I'm so excited about this possibility. And I keep looking at, like, your phone gives you these images of, this time several years ago. And I was going through security, and this guy at security was saying, oh my God, I love Ahsoka so much. And I was like, oh, look at the photo that just popped up. And it was me in a costume that was what was going to be the Ahsoka gray costume, but it still wasn't fully gray. It was just all these different colors and materials, and it was kind of the shape of what it would turn into. And me and Dave and John, and the guy's like, it was like really good BTS that I'd never be able to post online, but he got to get a look at just because it popped up on my phone. And it was like, the look and grin on my face, I just can't believe I didn't cost myself the job with the exuberance that I kept showing every day. Like, I literally was doing jumping jacks, and I was like, they're gonna fire me. I'm way too excited.
And Hayden, the return of Anakin started with the Kenobi series. Did you guys watch that? A lot of time had passed. When you got a call and they say, hey, we're thinking about doing this thing, Ewan's on board, we want to bring you back. Is it surreal? Is any part of you nervous? Can I do this again? Were you hesitant at all, or were you just like, I'm ready, let's do this?
Yeah, no, there was zero hesitation. I was elated to get the phone call. I was aware about the Obi-Wan project, and that Ewan was coming back to Star Wars, and I was so happy for him. And I wondered if there was maybe going to be an opportunity for me to come in and join him. But yeah, it was a great phone call to get, and to get to come back and do more with the character that I love so much, and that has had such a massive impact on my life, was just a real privilege.
So not many actors get this opportunity that you get after so much time has passed to kind of return to a character that they knew so well. And there's so much that Anakin had done and how he evolved. What conversations did you have with Filoni about where Anakin was going to be in the headspace, or how they were going to present him on screen?
I mean, what was really exciting for me was that I felt like, Anakin's story had been told in the prequels, and so we sort of had already done all that heavy lifting, and so now it was kind of an opportunity to color the character with a little bit more nuance, and I was such a fan of Dave's storytelling already, and so to sort of get to be a part of his take on the character was something that I just saw as a really awesome opportunity, and I was so pleased with the script. The first time I read the script for Shadow Warrior, I was just blown away. I thought it was really, really exciting, and just thrilled to get to be a part of your show, and to get to work with you and play these characters together. It was an awesome opportunity. But as far as like the headspace goes, it's a good question, but it's a tough one to answer too. Just because so much of it is just about sort of gut feeling and intuition. And so I sort of just kind of feel my way through, you know, how that's going to sort of manifest itself and how I'm going to inhabit the character again.
Absolutely. And for you, Ahsoka had been through so much, and it was great seeing like the Clone Wars, the final season. You guys watch that? It kind of showed the potential of how like epic and how much drama you could put into like an animated project. And so your Ahsoka, she's going through all this trauma. She's been through all these dark days in her past. Does any of that, did you have conversations with Filoni about like how to bring that to the screen and how to kind of set up her demeanor in this new project and like how you would go forward with her character?
Yeah, I think we had a lot of discussions around her stoicism sort of at that time in her life, and how she's chosen to be a loner. And, you know, she's had a lot of, you know, things that had weighed on her for a long time and kind of kept in the back of her mind. And you have these like little instances, you know, when she comes across Grogu and the opportunity to train him, and her hesitancy, you know, because of what she sees in him, but also what she fears in herself. And, you know, it was something so delicately kind of played with in those initial moments with her, because it was, you know, when I signed on to do her, it was just for that one episode, you know? It was just a trial.
I had no idea it was more.
Yeah, it could go further, it could not, like it literally was just, you know, this is The Mandalorian. I was doing an episode on that show, you know, and then we got to come back around with Boba. But, you know, it wasn't like when I first signed up that it was this guarantee I was gonna have my own show or do any of those things. And I think it was, you know, a trial for all of us to just see, you know, and also for the audience to really see if they wanted to continue this story with her. I was so excited that Ahsoka lived and that she got to have a new adventure and that I got to put on this outfit that wasn't just a cosplay experience, but was a new look and a new journey for her. But to get to this point where we get to the end of Ahsoka now and see her with the Padawan and see her, you know, reflect on that past and come to terms with it in a way she has not been able to for all these decades, you know, I think is just gets me so excited about where her story could go. I think there's a more levity, there's a bit more peace, you know, and as you know, Thrawn is on the loose, so it's not like there isn't any less chaos or stress. But, you know, maybe she can be a little bit more present now and face whatever that holds in the future without so much of that negative pull from the past.
So going back to something you said, you thought this was just going to be like a one-off or like a short cameo.
He told me, he was like, you could try this out, it could be more, it could be less, like, you never know. I was like,
it was the fans that helped get you your own TV show, is that what you're saying?
I mean, come on y'all, I appreciate you so much.
You folks have more power than you know. That's all I'm trying to get at. You show your love, you show your support, and great things can happen.
What's so strong with y'all? I don't know.
Clearly, you guys, I've loved like a lot of your work in the past, especially
not all of it, but just a lot of it. But that's good. Those are good odds. It's a good percentage.
I only said it because I haven't seen all of it.
Clearly, it's like, and it's good. Okay, it's all right because only my mom likes Pluto Nash, so it's all right. You don't want to watch that one. There's a couple on the list so you could just skip for sure. No. You don't even remember it.
Eddie Murphy.
Like, your brain like just erased it.
I've seen Pluto Nash. Eddie Murphy, right? There you go. I was actually gonna say I worked. My first job ever was a movie theater, and in the movie, well, while I was working there, Jumper came out. And so I'm gonna say, and I think they all agree, Jumper still holds up. And you were so amazing in that, and like it's just, you hadn't seen a lot of movies with somebody so young and having powers. where they're not just using them for good. Sometimes you're just using your powers to just survive. And I just want to hear from you. What do you remember from that experience, or what are some of your fondest memories from being on that set?
Yeah, I love that film. I love making that film. You know, it was sort of a different take on a superhero story, which I enjoyed. And we traveled all around the world to all the locations that you see in that film. But what was most significant for me personally is that I met the mother of my daughter, and so it actually gave me the greatest gift that I've ever gotten. My beautiful daughter, who's actually here today with my mom. Hey, kiddo. So yeah, it was a great film for me, and will always hold a very special place in my heart.
How high is her midichlorian count?
Sorry?
How high is her midichlorian count?
It's very high.
Clearly. So, in researching for this panel, Rosario, I did actually not know much about the sort of the challenges you faced growing up. You come from kind of a difficult past. You're laughing, but that's how difficult it was. I mean, I don't know if saying living paycheck to paycheck kind of describes exactly what you were going through, but I've seen you in the last few years and how many philanthropic efforts that you are a part of and how many organizations that you create and you raise. And I'm just wondering if the way that you were raised and your mother being so tough and just trying to make a better life for you is kind of what drives you to kind of make the world a better place.
Oh no, 1,000,001%. I mean, I grew up, I was born in Coney Island. Coney Island Hospital, I'm lucky to be alive today. It's not a well-funded hospital. And then we moved to the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and my parents moved into an abandoned building that didn't have water, heat, or electricity. When we first moved in, we had plywood for a door and plastic sheets for windows. And then slowly my mom and my dad and people in the building got in a sewage line and put in electrical and, you know, learned how to do construction and all of these different things. And, you know, I just grew up with a lot of, you know, poor people helping poor people, a lot of tenacity, a lot of, you know, sweat equity, and people just putting in the effort and not expecting anyone to come in and rescue them or save them. And but also being really active politically, being really active in the community, you know, knowing that they had rights, you know, and pushing for them and doing it for the greater good of everyone. And it was just, you know, I started acting at 15, so for me it was just such a strange thing that people would put a microphone in front of my face immediately and ask me what kind of lipstick I was wearing, and I was like, are you registered? Are we going to talk about this housing crisis that's going on? It's really bad, and the confluence of, you know, the HIV/AIDS crisis and, you know, the heroin crack epidemics and the war on drugs. Like, we got to talk about this stuff. This is some heavy stuff. And then I got to Hollywood and they were like, that's your brand? That's not a really good brand. Maybe you want to work on that. And I was like, ew. They picked me up the street to be in this movie, like, this isn't gonna last. I'm gonna take this and take advantage of this mic as long as I got it. And crazy, they still keep giving them to me. It's insane. So, yeah.
It's admirable. It's extremely admirable, and it's
Me too, I love you, Hayden.
I think we all do, yeah. Continue doing what you're doing, because I know there's folks out there that it means so much to. I saw your panel at South by Southwest. And so all the environmental stuff that you guys are doing, it opens awareness, and it really opens the eyes to people who are not, their stories are not being told enough.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for all the work that you're doing.
Siempre. I have to say, I feel like I found my people. You know, young people these days, they're coming in hot. And they understand that, you know, there's an intersection of all of these issues, and anywhere you're doing that work, especially if you're talking about, you know, everything from women's rights to equality, you know, talking about the health, you know, healthcare, the environment, like, equity doesn't exist anywhere on the planet. So anywhere you're doing the work, especially locally, makes such a big impact and makes such a difference. So I'm just so grateful to be here. I say I straddle the centuries. You know, I remember when we counted time by decades. Now we count it by like trending cycles. But you know, this new generation is just all about it, and they're showing up for each other's causes and getting, you know, how robust you have to kind of come at things and how myriad all of these issues are and how they all affect each other. And I just feel like I found my people. This next generation come up, and it's not what I grew up with, which was like saying pick a lane and pick a cause. It was like they all matter. I don't know what to say. And now people seem to get that really, really hardcore, and I so appreciate that.
Amen. Hayden, I love learning how family-oriented you were growing up, and I found this fascinating story about how you and your brothers celebrated birthdays. Can you please tell us all about that?
Yeah, it was a little bit later on when I was like 19, 20 years old. Maybe it was for my 20th birthday, actually. My brother, quote unquote, kidnapped me very early in the morning, and he and a friend of ours took me somewhere far away. We were in a car for a while. I wasn't sure where we were going, and we ended up going on a really fun dirt bike trip, and so it sort of became a tradition for us where you know, the morning of the person's birthday, we'd wake the person up really early in the morning and then go on some fun adventure somewhere. And that lasted for I don't know, 3 or 4 years. And that sort of started my love of riding dirt bikes, which I still do on my farm. And, but as a kid, my birthdays were very sort of normal birthdays, you know.
The kidnapping came later.
Yeah, that came later on, yeah.
Your daughter, is she going to start learning how to ride a dirt bike anytime soon?
I would love that. She's been on a dirt bike with me. I've got pictures of her as a little baby riding around on the dirt bike with me. And she can ride an ATV. She's driven my UTV by herself. Not by herself, but you know, she's in the driver's seat.
He read that back because he's like, there's security here.
Driving and everything. Yeah, so I'm starting her early for sure.
I'll bring it back to Ahsoka because I know that's what they want to hear about. You specifically, when you learned that you were not only getting your own show, but that they're bringing Hayden back as well, like, what was your reaction to finding out your brother over here is going to be joining you?
Like, better, because I saw Obi-Wan and I was mad jealous. I would have been so in my feelings. Dave knows, because I kept talking about it. Like, it was like, come on, he's right there. Like, he's there. Like, what is the problem here? What's going on? It's gonna be expected, like, it'll be glaring if he's not in it, like, then it's gonna be like, what? Like, we don't get along or something, like, it was gonna cause rumors. I was like, you don't want that kind of press, like.
Come on, Dave, come on. Hayden, fans are thrilled to see you come back. You didn't know you were gonna come back after Kenobi, right?
No, I didn't know.
This is a complete shock, again.
Yeah, it was another amazing phone call to get, and, you know, I don't know, it was, life is full of wonder, and sometimes you have to look for it, and then other times it just sort of smacks you like right in the face, and this was another one of those times where I was like, wow, I'm gonna get to do this with my friend and play these characters together, and it was really special, and I think sort of the whole time we were there doing it, we were just kind of like, you know, pinching ourselves that we were...
And each other.
Yeah, very fortunate to get to do this together.
I think what makes it even more special is that this is an Anakin we've not seen before. You are a master with a Padawan, and live action. We've seen it in animated form. We've never seen you with a Padawan in live action.
Yeah.
So what are the nuances, or for you, like how fulfilling was it that now you get to be the master, you get to sort of do all the teaching, and did you take anything from like Ewan's Kenobi back in the prequels about how you would act?
I borrowed from everywhere. But I mean, yeah, I mean that was part of the joy of this, was that it was a slightly different slant on the character, and that I was, you know, getting to sort of, you know, be a version of a master, and sort of get to sort of wield both sides of the Force, and it was just it checked a lot of boxes for me, and I loved, you know, sort of how Dave conceived of it, and so many amazing visuals too, like all, you know, the stuff where you see Anakin flash into Vader and then back to Anakin. I take no credit for that, but it was amazing. Yeah, so it was just, you know, a real thrill for me, and I couldn't have been happier with how it came out.
Love you!
It's definitely one of those things too, like as a fan, you're watching it and like freaking out. And it's just so incredible to watch, but also, you know, as someone who just loves this character so much and getting this opportunity to show the breadth of her to maybe people who are just discovering her for the first time, because I just think that's so fascinating how people approach Star Wars from the films. Maybe they grew up with the animation, you know, maybe they've come across some of the fan books or things online, and now they're getting introduced in these shows. But for some people, you know, just the brilliance of it, like that he was able to craft this in a way that for the folks who have seen everything and read everything and watched everything, and for folks who are discovering these characters for the first time, that we got to experience this range of Ahsoka's life, and, you know, what that felt like, what that looked like, you know, for someone watching it for the first time or someone who'd seen it forever. How young she was when she was in the middle of war, what that pressure was on her at such a young age, just, and how much storytelling was done in such a short period of time, that I think, you know, I just had so much even more compassion for her and where she's at and understanding, and I'm so grateful that her story continues and that we get to see where she goes next, because she's gone through so much.
So much.
And it's so cool that now she trusts herself to have a Padawan herself. And I love that the tradition of very stubborn, very challenging personalities continues with my little Mandalorian Jedi. Yeah. Quite a line of rascals coming from you to meet her.
Your character's arc, Ahsoka's arc, is absolutely beautiful, and then Filoni, like you mentioned, for all the fans who we've watched all of the animated episodes, and we've been following her character, there's so many things to tie back to, but then there's so many things that were so unexpected. The flashbacks were amazing, back in the sort of Clone Wars battles, but then we saw young Ahsoka, and I was like, stop! Oh my god, the hits just keep on coming. Your experience with, I'm sorry I forget the actress's name, but working with Ariana, working with Ariana as young Ahsoka in those scenes.
Yeah, she was awesome. She's a wonderful actress, and I thought just perfectly cast, like just really captured the essence of the character at that age, and for me as well, like just seeing Ahsoka in battle was a very powerful thing. But we had a lot of fun together. We kind of developed a nice shorthand, and we had like a little secret handshake that we'd do after every take, and she's doing great. Like you can see her in so much stuff now. And I was just watching this show on Disney Plus last night with my daughter called Liv and Maddie, and she was in that. She was in an episode I saw last night. As like, I don't know, she would have been like 6 or 7 years old. So she's doing great and deserves all the success that she's enjoying now.
Yes. And then I can't help but call out, like, flashbacks, great. Young Ahsoka, great. Anakin in his Clone Wars armor.
Yeah,
I'm not alone.
That was a bucket list thing for me, for sure. That felt good. Thank you. Me too.
In Dave Filoni, we absolutely trust that man can do no wrong. Was there a moment in rehearsals or while filming where you guys just knew how special this season would be? Like what kind of show you were really trying to aim for, and just, you know, the quality of it and everything?
When there were so many moments watching Thrawn eat his hot dogs backstage. Just, you know, the witches, I mean, it just was, you know, seeing our night troopers, like, I mean, there was so, Shauna would kind of show me just like little things that she wasn't supposed to show me yet, and just be like, look what I made, look what we're doing. And I would just freak out, just the hints and the playing of the old, we got Jason, like it just, we had space whales, like it was just everything. Like it was so hard not to say anything to other people, you have no idea. It was intense. It was really, really exciting. And yeah, it was so special. I'm glad that we had it. We had to incubate actually, because it was just for us, you know, every single day, being covered up in our big cape hoodie things so that drones that would fly over wouldn't capture it and spoil it for everybody. And you know, and it was really magical. It was a really magical experience. And to see just also how delighted Dave was, you know, that he just got this opportunity to kind of do all the things. And you could see just how ready he was, you know, he packed so much in, and it all made sense, and it all felt good, and it moved well, and the casting was incredible, and everyone's so kind and hardworking and talented and incredible to work with, and it just, the whole environment was just really, really special, and super fun, and I'm so grateful we get to go back and do it again.
Yeah. Would you like to elaborate on anything either on set, off set?
It all felt very special to me. I actually didn't read all of the scripts though, so I was kind of like you guys, when the show came out, I was there like tuning in, like what's gonna happen this episode, and so that was good fun for me. But no, it was just being on set. It was very apparent that everything was sort of lining up the way that you'd like it to, and Dave's sort of command of the story and the set just sort of made you aware that you were a part of something that had the potential to be great. And again, it was just a real privilege for me to get to be a part of the show, because I was a fan, and I loved it.
Talk to us about Dave. We would love to hear a conversation, some collaboration, or something that will help us kind of understand what type of artist he is, creator, how he thinks, anything like that.
I mean, he's a fan first and foremost too, and so he approaches Star Wars with that passion, and he spent so much time working with George Lucas that he's trying to uphold sort of all of the sort of mantles that George put in place, and those things are very important to him. And so that was something that meant a lot to me. But yeah, all of my conversations with him were the way he directs. It's very subversive. He doesn't sort of tell you exactly what he wants. He tells a story and sort of invites you to be a part of this story. And yeah, it was just a great experience. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice a little bit.
Texas allergies gets us every time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every time there's one of those like NDA type things that they give out every time we're gonna do press, and it says don't tell any of the things that happened on set that were personal conversations. I feel like it's pointed at me. Because I'm always like, this time Dave said, but it's true, he really does talk in stories, and he's an absolute encyclopedia, and you can ask him anything about the entire breadth of it. in the Star Wars universe, and he also knows the Star Trek universe hardcore. I'm just saying, like really, I mean, I'm just saying, he knows the sci-fi, like he knows this thing. Godzilla, don't even get him started. But like, no, it's really, you know, he's just an encyclopedia. He's a fan. He really comes at these things like with a lot of love and care. And curiosity and excitement and exuberance, and he's so present about it, and you could see like every single department how much they loved him and relied on him and loved, you know, just surprising him and just being and as trying to show up as engaged, because he's writing, he's directing, he's, you know, he's kind of building and creating this whole world in conversation with all of us, and you know, we're all just greedy for his time and his energy, and he's always being pulled to the different sets and the different episodes, and we're shooting multiple episodes at the same time, and we've got several different directors working at the same time, and it's unbelievable how much he's juggling at any given moment, and just how kind and chill and fun he is in the midst of it. You know, he really sets the tone. And he always gives that back to George and what that was like working for him. And so it's really beautiful seeing that tradition pass on, as we're literally in a story of master to Padawan. And you know, that constant acknowledgement, that constant like level of just real awe and respect and love is the guiding light for all of us. And I adore him, and I'm so grateful he's at the helm of this. It's what makes it possible for all of us, because it's hard, it's a lot of work. It is not, you know, 4:30 calls in the morning, like it's constant. You go on any of the sets, the same set, and you know, studio that we're shooting, that we did, you know, the moon scene with Grogu, the fight with the magistrate, I mean, it's like, every day you come in, 24 hours later, you show up on that same studio stage, and it's a completely different planet. It's got a spaceship in it. And then it switches again. Like there's always someone working at some point, and he really is the person who's guiding that the whole way. And it's miraculous, honestly. Like it really blows my mind what people are capable of doing. You know, when they have that much love and they have someone so amazing, kind of leading the way.
Thank you for sharing that. And we absolutely appreciate all those extremely early call times and those long days. For you guys, I know it's worth it, but for us, like, it means the world. Right? But you guys pulled off this epic lightsaber duel. Do you guys like that? Talk to us about how long you guys trained. Hayden, did you give Rosario tips on like how to do certain things or certain moves? Like, what was that process like, getting that down?
It's a lot of just time and you know, it's desire and dedication, really. I mean, anyone can do it. You just got to put in the hours. And you know, they had a great team of people on this one, led by Ming, the fight choreographer. She designed some great sequences for us. But you go in every day and you start off very slowly, and you kind of, you know, learn the moves, and it really, it's all about your footwork. I'll tell you that. You know, you got to make sure that your feet are doing the right thing, and everything else kind of falls into place. But yeah, it was just too much fun getting to swing a lightsaber with you.
At me, with me.
Coming in heavy-handed.
I've never tried it, but I feel like it also can be slightly dangerous. Accidents might happen. Do you guys have anything like that? We're like, oops, accidentally hit you in the face.
Yeah, every now and then you hit someone on the hand, and but the lightsabers now are more forgiving than they used to be. Like back when we were doing the prequels, they were just these metal rods, these metal shafts, right. And you'd hit someone on the hand, or you get hit on the hand, and it would break your skin. And that doesn't happen so much anymore. So the lightsabers have improved, and they light up now too, which is awesome.
Okay, so now follow-up question: who had more accidents breaking skin, you or Ewan?
You know, I think we kind of traded back and forth. It was relatively even, but it was just kind of, you know, a part of the job, and you on like sort of a very, I don't know, masochistic level, it was like an enjoyable thing, and you kind of you took your marks home and you wore them with pride, and you're like, I earned this, you know.
Yeah, I was proud of my shiner. Yeah.
You had one too?
Just one.
Okay. You know what? I mean, going back.
No break and spin. It was just a bruise.
Absolutely. Going back to actually that Duel of the Fates, as we all know it. For some reason, that's been coming up a lot recently, and I think I had heard a rumor like how long that fight actually is in its entirety. Do you recall like actually how long? Because they didn't use all of the footage of the fight, right?
Well, Duel of the Fates is episode 1, and I wasn't in that one, but
that's right.
Right. So,
you're right.
Revenge of the Sith, yeah. That we trained for months. We would go out, we filmed those in Australia, and we'd go out like 2-3 months beforehand, and spend a lot of time with Nick Gillard, the fight choreographer of the prequels, and that was some of my favorite memories are just going and training with the lightsaber, and then when we actually went to go film it, it was, you know, we spent a decent amount of time doing it. It was like a good, I think, 2.5 weeks of just, you know, getting that fight on film. But we had trained for so long, we knew it really well, that it was a blast to get to do. And I get asked a lot if they sped that footage up, and they did not. That was actually how fast we were going.
There you have it, folks. Real time, guys. All right, you actually have more autographs and photos I think you need to take. So we're down to our final question, and it's I saved this one for last because it was the final scene of the finale of Ahsoka.
What's that?
Why did you jump?
Why did I jump? Yes. Arrogance of youth. You know, and I also like to think that there was like this sort of, you know, lore within you know, the Jedi, that when Obi-Wan defeated Darth Maul had the high ground, and he did this amazing flip, and so I like to think that they talked about that, and it was like this, you know, big deal. And so like Anakin, in the back of his head, he hears Obi-Wan say like, I have the high ground. He's like, you know, I'm gonna show him. And it just didn't play out the way it hoped.
And now we know. The finale of Ahsoka ends with us getting one final glorious look at Anakin. It is a beautiful and fitting conclusion for him. But if Filoni should ever call you again and say, you know what, we got one more idea, would you be open to joining another project as Anakin Skywalker?
I was so happy with how Dave handled the character, and I loved, you know, how they concluded the show. But of course, if he called me up and said, I want you to do a little bit more, I would be there in a heartbeat.
I think they would like that.
I would like it even more.
As I mentioned earlier, Ahsoka was absolutely perfection from start to finish. It gave us the drama, it gave us the satisfying story arcs, it gave us all these big epic moments, and you guys were absolutely incredible. Seeing the two of you together was magical, and knowing that you two have come all the way from that tiny little acting school in New York City to, you know, that big stage and fighting in the galaxy. We'll never forget it. Thank you so much for everything you guys do, and thank you for being here.